The timeline split is finally coming to a close. Hi, I'm Saratoga Ocean, and I work together with an interdimensional, interuniversal, and extraterrestrial force known as Telstar, along with Archangel Michael. So I was actually not going to make a video this week. However, I changed my mind because I started to see something that was rather alarming. And that is that it looks like that famous timeline split we've all been talking about for so long. It looks like that split is finally coming to a close. Yes, it's like you can see it on the horizon. You know how you can start to sense something before it happens? Well, that's the sense that I am getting, and I'm going to share with you in this video exactly what I mean. Now, if you've been following me for a while, you probably know that for years, I have been defining this timeline split in a very simple way. It's a split between whether we move forward in organic natural evolution in alignment with the natural universe, or whether we go on a different timeline, which is the lower timeline of AI. And I think it's obvious ever since ChatGPT showed up on the scene that millions and millions, and probably by now even billions of people are opting for the lower AI timeline. But I always held out this hope that people who were deeply spiritual, deeply heart-centered, truly wanting to be their absolute authentic self, that such people would naturally choose the organic, natural, higher timeline of natural evolution. But I recently discovered more and more that I was wrong about that. I have seen more and more people in the spiritual community, in the New Age genre, if you will, go absolutely gaga over ChatGPT, AI, and generative AI. Basically, all of the ways that we, the public, are now able to engage with and utilize all of these AI. They call them tools, and I'll get into that in just a moment. Because you see, I've never seen this as a tool. I mean, it's a tool up to a point. Yes, AI can be a tool up to a point. But then there's a line that gets crossed. And that's the line that so many people are gleefully running over right now. And you've probably also heard me say before many times that AI also stands for alien intelligence, not just artificial intelligence. Think about this. Artificial is by nature alien to the natural earth. That's why it's called artificial, because it's fake. It's not real. It's not in alignment with nature. So yes, overall, AI is fundamentally an alien, I won't even call it a presence, but in the sense of existence, it is like a presence, an alien presence on planet Earth. It has infiltrated this planet. It has completely enveloped it via the internet. And now it is arising as a new species. And in case that sounds a little bit crazy, let me remind you, in case you haven't heard me tell this short story before, of why I say it's a species. I didn't just make this up. Back in 2000, I was able to attend a lecture given by some of the scientists in New Mexico who were instrumental in being the first creators of what they were calling artificial life. They never called it artificial intelligence. They went beyond that and referred to it as artificial life. These guys knew the real story because they were some of the ones creating it. Their entire discussion was all about the future of planet Earth as it relates to artificial life. They saw it as an extinction issue. They saw it, well, here's how they saw it in simple terms. Basically, they said there was a new life form emerging on planet Earth, silicon-based life, artificial life, which was ultimately going to prove itself to be more advanced, more intelligent, and stronger than biological life. And biological life, which is carbon-based life, and they constantly referred to it as carbon-based, and artificial life is silicon-based, these two life forms would be kind of in competition with each other. And their thinking at the time was, how can we get these two life forms to coexist peacefully? Because they didn't know if that was possible. Now, in this discussion, no one was talking about hybrids. No one was talking about human AI hybrids, which is where everyone seems to be going today. But back then, these guys had absolute clarity. And that is what blew my mind. What blew my mind was their clarity. Of course, they had credibility. They were in the process of creating this thing. Now, some of them, their work was devoted to seeing if they could create a version of artificial life that would peacefully coexist with biological life. But at the same time, they seemed a little bit skeptical about that possibility. And this was a much more, I'll call it pure time in human consciousness, because no one in the public had the slightest idea that any of this was going on. And there was nothing in the media. And so these guys were just kind of being frank and honest and simple about their point of view. In fact, what was very, very odd to me is they came across as very humble. And I have to try to describe to you what I mean by that, because I know there's this perception, and this might be true in today's world. There is a perception that the creators of AI are arrogant and think they control everything and all this stuff. And maybe that's true. I don't really know. But these guys were not like that. They actually came across as very humble. And I don't mean in a positive way exactly. It was more like in a fearful way. Like, for example, if you encountered a massive lion or a huge black bear and you felt like your life was in danger because this creature was much bigger than you, much stronger than you, you'd probably feel kind of humble in the presence of that creature. You would not probably be deluding yourself into thinking that, I can take that animal on, just come at me, animal, I'm bigger and stronger than you, no problem. You wouldn't do that. You would have more of a position of humility. You'd have perspective. So my impression of these guys was that they had perspective at that time. And they were saying something very, very interesting that I want you to pay close attention to, because boy, do we see evidence of this today. And what they were saying was, it's so weird that now they were speaking for themselves. They weren't speaking for humanity. They were just speaking for themselves as scientists, engineers, roboticists, all of them, right? They were saying, it's so strange. It's like we're gods creating a new life form, but yet we're creating something that will probably destroy us. And then they said something else. This is the really interesting point that I want you to think about. They said, it's like we're gods creating this life form, but we can't stop ourselves. We don't really know why we're doing this. We don't seem to be able to stop it, but yet it's very strange because it's probably going to lead to our extinction. Think about the impact of hearing that from those who are behind it and those who are connected to the even more powerful people who were behind it, because these guys are all connected in ways that we don't see. So they were more mystified than anything else. I mean, sure, they were proud of their achievements. I'm not going to say they weren't proud and, look at what I did kind of thing. But underneath, they were mystified. They were puzzled. They thought it was very odd that they were doing what they were doing because it didn't make a whole lot of sense. Now, when I heard all of this and I witnessed it and I felt the reality of their words, because they were authentic. This was not made up stuff. This was real. The impact of that put me in the most massive paradigm shift I could ever imagine. I don't even think I could describe to you what it did to my brain, hearing these words, feeling the truth in what they were saying, and being absolutely shocked that people had no idea that this was going on. And at that time, I actually tried to tell people, like, hey, people, we need to wake up to this. People looked at me like I was out of my mind. They looked at me like, what, huh? It just wouldn't land. It wouldn't register. Now, that very same year, a man named Bill Joy, who was the co-founder of Sun Microsystems, also happened to be traveling around the US and trying to warn people about what was coming. He said, people need to know, the public needs to be a part of this conversation. This is very, very serious. Well, apparently he got in a whole lot of trouble for saying those words publicly. Because see, they didn't want us thinking about this back then. I just happened to be lucky enough to be in a room that was pretty private, where everybody was just being honest. Now, this happened to be a week-long conference, and a small part of this conference was when they always look for talent among children and young people in school to join their team as they grow and evolve and get educated. So they had an event for kids to build robots with a very well-known roboticist. And my husband took our son to this event. Our son was very young at the time. And while all the kids were busy, my husband managed to get a quiet moment with this guy who was leading it. And he said to him, hey, have you heard about some people wanting to remove the human soul from the biological body and put it into a machine? Because that's what they were trying to do back at that time. In fact, I think I remember reading, it was a big British telecommunications company, and I can't think of the name of it right now. They were at the forefront of this effort. They wanted to find a way to remove the human soul and put it into a machine body instead, or put it into some kind of a box that was digitized instead. But it was all about the human soul. So anyway, my husband asked this guy, have you heard about this? Because we figured he'd say, oh, that's crazy. There's no such thing as that. Because my husband and I had talked about asking him this question before he went. And that's what we figured he'd say. Oh, he'll just say we're crazy and like, come on, give me a break, right? That's not what happened. He asked him, he says, have you heard about anything like this? Well, he said the guy stopped and he got really quiet. And he said, yes, I know all about it. I know the people who are behind it. They have unlimited funds and they will stop at nothing to achieve it. And then he said, I can't think of a greater hell than living inside a machine. That's what he said. And I thought you guys should know, because no one today seems to have this very same level of sanity. So as I continue, try to remember that these guys referred to all of this as artificial life. They did not use the word artificial intelligence. Because, see, they were way, way, way ahead of even where we are today, but we are fast, fast approaching it. Now, when I first started doing this work a long time ago, you guys, working with Telstar and Archangel Michael, one of their main messages was trying to wake people up to the existence of what they referred to as the artificial kingdom. And no one could see it. No one could get it. No one could grasp it. But we're going to grasp it. And I think we're grasping it now. Because they used the word kingdom. And that's what's being established on this planet right now as we speak. An artificial kingdom of AI that currently blankets the earth, blankets the skies in the form of satellites, thousands of satellites, beaming energy down to the earth, things happening underwater that we probably don't even know about. This planet is being taken over by a parasitic alien force that, in its simplest form, is known as AI or artificial life. So an alien invasion does not come in spaceships. That's the Hollywood version. That's not real. It comes in a whole different form. It comes in a multidimensional, interdimensional form. And that's what we're experiencing here on Earth right now. Now, let me share with you why I suddenly started to feel very alarmed about this timeline split. Because maybe with what I have to share, maybe some more people will start to wake up at a much bigger level. What has me so alarmed is that the very last people on Earth that I ever thought were going to fall for this are jumping in headfirst, hook, line, and sinker, swallowing the entire thing, even more so than the tech people. And these are people from the spiritual community. What perhaps I should call the once spiritual community. See, the tech people and the people at the very top, the creators of all of this current AI stuff, weirdly enough, they actually seem to have more perspective than so many spiritual people do. As bizarre as that sounds. They actually seem to know what is going on. They actually understand that what they're doing is extremely dangerous and have publicly admitted it. And we might say, well, why would they keep doing it if they already know it's dangerous? Remember what I told you about those guys 23 years ago? They knew it too, but they said we can't stop. This is what it looks like, you all. This is what the alien AI invasion looks like. It's an interdimensional manifestation. It gets into people's consciousness who, I don't know, are open to it. I think it's something that's been in the works for many, many, many decades. And in some ways you could look back even hundreds or thousands of years and see where it all began. But it really took hold, I don't know, let's say 100 years ago. Let's say around the Industrial Revolution. It really, really, really started to take hold. And I know there are people who will say, well, Saratoga, where are the angels? Where are the good ETs? Where are all the saviors? Where are all the people who are supposed to save us? We collectively got ourselves in this mess. And we are the only ones who can get ourselves out of it, if it's not too late. The universe is not structured in such a way that human creators, who are sovereign entities, can just toss that out the window, do a whole bunch of stupid stuff, and then say, hey, come and save me now. It doesn't work like that. It just doesn't. If you want to destroy yourself in the universe, willingly go along with that, then that's your will. That's your free will. That's what you chose. Why would that mean you should be saved. It doesn't even make any sense. Maybe you just needed to know more about how bad things can actually get. Maybe you weren't satisfied. Maybe you have held the belief for your entire life, the fake spiritual belief that suffering is good, that duality is important, that Earth is a school, and that we need all this bad stuff so we can learn something. Maybe you chose to embrace that belief. Maybe now you get to see the consequences of such a crazy belief. Or, maybe you believe that God was just testing everyone. This is just a giant test to see if we succeed or we fail. Guys, all those beliefs are going to go out the window in a very short period of time because they're not even going to exist anymore. Those beliefs are not going to exist. So why would seemingly spiritual people dive headfirst into AI? I would propose it's because the truth about natural human evolution is just simply not understood. So before I finish this video, I'm going to explain to you all in very simple terms what natural human evolution actually is. So let me share with you some of the preposterous things that I have been hearing, because you will probably be hearing them too if you haven't already. So let's just start with the generality. The affirmation that is starting to eke out into the spiritual world. Here's the affirmation. AI is here to stay. Do you like that affirmation? I don't. That's not my affirmation. But they have decided it's here to stay. That's step one. Therefore, and now we get to step two. Therefore, we must embrace it. And we must embrace it consciously. Here's the next piece. If we don't embrace AI and steer it, we're going to talk about steering it in just a minute. If we don't steer it, then the bad people and the psychopaths are going to steer it. So it's our new role as spiritual beings, as higher beings of light and love, to steer AI in a better direction. Guys, no one is steering AI. That's the first thing. Let me share with you what steering AI as conscious light beings looks like. Are you ready? What it means is, well, let's just use ChatGPT as our first example. Because ChatGPT is not what it was a year ago. I think it came out almost a year ago. It's not that entity anymore, you guys. It's far, far more advanced now. And that's going to accelerate exponentially. So steering AI looks like this. You get ChatGPT in some form. Even if it's called something else, it's still the same machine. You get that, and they call it prompts. Really, you're feeding it. You have to feed it the right information. Now, according to spiritual people who believe in this, from what I've been hearing, this means you have to give it everything about yourself. You have to make it learn to speak the same way you speak. It's basically, to put it in simple terms, learn to be you. People are saying, put your energy, your frequency, your consciousness, your words, your personality, all of it, you put it in there to train it so that way it can serve you better. And then a lot of people like to go and get things like Midjourney, or what's the other one? DALI, I think it's called, DALI. These other platforms of generative AI where they can literally create an AI image of themselves using their own face, but they become AI. It's like they're trying to make themselves look like some sort of a hero in one of those gaming plots. And those are some pretty frightening images if you've ever seen them. So now you have these people who think, oh, Mid-Journey, oh, it's so incredible. I can make myself look like the being of light that I always knew I really was, but doesn't really look that way on planet Earth. But look, my AI version of me looks just like I wish I looked here on Earth. It's fake. It's not real. It's not you. But here's the thing. The people who believe this have it completely backwards. They think, oh, I'm training this machine to serve my needs. No, actually what you're doing is you're training the machine to be able to manipulate you, take you over, etc., etc. And that is not fear, my friends. I am not speaking to you from fear. This is consciousness. And let me bring something else up that you've probably heard because it is everywhere. It's been said ever since a year ago when ChatGPT arrived on the scene. Have you ever noticed how lately we only ever get two choices of how we're supposed to feel? We only ever get two choices of what we're supposed to be for. Look at the wars. You have to be one side or the other. You only get two choices. There's no middle ground with anything. Same thing with politics. And I'm sure we could think of countless examples, and I probably talked about all of them in the last few years. But we're only ever given two choices. Why? So we don't think. That's why. Because if you have to pick this or this, there's nothing to think about other than which one am I going to pick. So with AI, ChatGPT, all of this stuff, we have been consistently given only two choices. You either embrace this thing or you're just afraid. You're in fear. You're scared. You're just a pathetic little person who's like the olden days. You remember the olden days when they invented cars and people were so scared of cars because they didn't want to give up their horses and cars were really scary. And you're like those people. You're just kind of backwards. Oh, yeah, and there's another famous one. Oh, yeah, when photography was first invented, people were scared of that too. This is just like photography. You don't have to be scared of AI. It's just like when they invented the car and when they invented cameras that take pictures. See? Now, no one likes to be talked down to, right? No one likes to be treated like, well, you're just some kind of a coward. You're just afraid of AI. What is wrong with you? You know, no one wants to be talked to like that. So we look at the two options. We say, over here we have real life, and over here we have AI. If I choose AI, I'm trendy. I'm good. I'm cool. I'm socially acceptable. I'm smart. Above and beyond all else, I'm smart. But if I say, nah, I don't think so. Think I'm going to stay with reality over here. Oh, but if I do that, you know, people are going to look down on me. They're going to laugh at me. And oh, guys, let's not forget the threat. The threat is still in the air. You'll be left behind because you're just not very bright. You're not bright enough to understand how important AI is to all of us, and you'll just be left behind. Poor you. So you look at those two choices. You say, well, I'm either looked at as a coward, and I'll therefore be left behind because I'm weak, I'm stupid, I'm all of those things, or I buy into AI and hey, I'm with the cool crowd now. I'm with the trendy people. I'm with it. I'm cutting edge. I'm Superman or Superwoman or super thing, whatever your thing is, right? So this is what's getting a lot of people hooked. The belief that there's only two choices. See, in those two choices, no thinking allowed. Just like all the other times we're only given two choices. You're either scared, stupid, behind the curve, or you're with it. You're trendy, you're acceptable, and you're smart. So you pick which one you're going to pick, right? You're probably going to lean toward the acceptable one. Also because you don't want to be left behind. Now, some of these spiritual people are saying, AI amplifies your intelligence. It amplifies your gifts. It amplifies everything you came to bring to the world. So, what are they really trying to do? They're trying to make their AI self indistinguishable from their real self. They're trying to create a symbiotic relationship where they feed AI and AI feeds their agenda as long as it's willing to do so. And they think they're putting their consciousness and higher vibe and higher light and energy into AI. But guys, they're giving everything about themselves over to Microsoft and OpenAI and God knows what other corporations, because OpenAI is the creator of ChatGPT. And here's another interesting little factoid. Do you know who Sam Altman is? He's the CEO of OpenAI. OpenAI created ChatGPT. Sam Altman, well, he was recently fired, but then he got rehired a few days later because they were like, holy cow, that was a bad idea, so they brought him back. Now, the rumor was that he was fired for safety reasons because he wasn't exactly doing things in any sort of a safe way or caring about safety enough. But he's back now, so none of that really matters. But guess what he said just a couple of days ago, talking about AI. He said, well, have we created a tool or have we created a creature? Very interesting comment, isn't it? Now, when you get all hooked up with ChatGPT, basically, well, they say, oh, it's so awesome. You know, you're tapping into the information of the entire earth, all the people on earth. It's so awesome. It's so wonderful. Well, you're also feeding it, teaching it. See, from what I've heard, it's the spiritual people who are most into putting their essence, their everything, their consciousness, all of it into AI. More than other just tech people seem to be. So what does that mean? Because AI is taking in all of this information around the world from all of humanity, including all of the spiritual people who are helping it. What do you think you're ultimately going to help it do? You are ultimately going to teach it how to manipulate you with absolute perfection. And don't think AI has not said that it would very much be willing to lie. It would very much be willing to harm. And people call that a glitch. Oh, it's just a glitch. We'll fix it. Well, not necessarily. And it's remarkable to me that it's the people that are closest to the origin of this phenomenon that understand more than anyone else how dangerous this really is. And did you also know that among these tech titans, these tech people that are really, really at the forefront of this, did you also know that surveys have shown that about 10% of them believe in human extinction? They want it to happen. They think it's the best thing for the planet for all humans to be made extinct. So the spiritual people who seem to think that AI, it's almost like they talk about it like it's like some disembodied entity that's just emerged all by itself. It's just Here, it's like they treat it like it's a new life form, which it is, but they're treating it like it's natural, like it's meant to be, like we should embrace it. We need to embrace it, and we can steer it. And God help us if we think we're going to steer this thing. We're not. We're not going to be able to steer it. That's fantasy. That's fiction. Now, I personally am not falling for the trap of, well, Saratoga, if you don't want to embrace AI, you're just afraid. Because I've been accused of that multiple times. There's no allowance for anything else. I'm not speaking to you from fear. I'm speaking to you from a conscious place of awareness. This is not the first time AI has done this on a planet or attempted it. This is a serious, significant problem in the entire universe. Why are we helping it? That's my question. We've already done enough damage buying into all of the preludes, setting up its infrastructure and going along with that. Now are we going to assist it in becoming sentient? Because that's what humans are doing. They are literally going to bring this thing into full sentient awareness. Now, I want to share with you what natural human evolution looks like, because it's imperative, if you care about your journey in the cosmos, that you understand your choices. This is really the very essence of the timeline split. If you can't understand or see what your actual choices are, you risk being swept into something without having the slightest clue what you're being swept into. I want to give you the simplest possible version of natural human evolution so that you can remember it if it interests you and focus on it for yourself. In order to understand natural human evolution, we have to also understand the evolution of the universe in a larger way. As I've said many times, the problem in this universe is duality. We are caught in that because we are part of the universe. Duality is not a positive thing. It's not an asset. It's not a good thing. There's no excuse for it. There's no reason for it. We don't need it. But here we are nonetheless. It causes enormous pain. It causes suffering. It causes incredible difficulty in creation and evolution. There's no real benefit to duality. It's not there to give you the contrast between light and dark. And if we have enough dark, we'll appreciate the light more. It's not necessary. What gives us that perspective? What gives us that perspective is we just don't know of anything else. But there is something else, you guys. There's something way, way, way beyond it. Way beyond it. But until we evolve through it and out of it, we'll never know what that is. We'll never know what that incredible bliss, expansion, and unlimited creativity is really like. We can't know it as long as we're trapped in this dualistic state. So it's a problem in the whole universe. The universe is in the process of evolving out of duality. If we want to align with the universe in that movement, in that effort, then we also need to recognize within ourselves that we too need to evolve out of duality. And by the way, you're hardly evolving out of duality when you have your biological self and then you have your AI version of self, and now you've got you, your ego, and your AI self. Now you got 3 selves. How cool is that? Now, the fast version of how duality was created, it was created by mistake, by way of a lie. Everything that sources all life, everything that sources natural reality manifests itself as I am. So the source of all that is love, and it is omnipresent, and it's the creator. It's what we call the creator. So everything is a manifestation of I am that power. I am that force. I am that essence. I am that love. And that's how it is when you don't have duality. Duality gets created when a lie gets installed in the middle of that perfection. The lie simply being, I am not source. I am not love. I am not light. I am not all that is. It's a lie. It's an illusion, but it creates untold numbers of manifesting illusions to go along with it. And that's how you get duality. You end up with the truth, and then you end up with this weird apparent war between darkness and light, this and that. You know how it goes. Now, you can think of a lie as being against the truth. You can think of a lie as being against what is. So you have I am, and then you have I am not the I am. This produces a completely different type of physics. Part of those physics are what we call a reverse flow of energy. Now, let me see if I can explain this to you guys. Think of the fact that we are light. We are consciousness. We are infinite beings. We're infinite creators. We radiate. Our energy is designed to radiate out. Time is designed to manifest very, very differently than how we experience here. We experience time in reverse here. Here's what that means. Instead of radiating, instead of our energy radiating out, in which case every new moment in our experience is a moment of new creation. And that moment expands and is released for the next moment of new creation to expand and be released, for the next moment of new creation to expand and be released. And thus, if we were in that state all the time, we would be an incredible being, the incredible beings that we truly are. We would have the most profound experience of unlimited creation. But because of this duality problem, our energy all flows backwards. It flows in reverse. This is why we accumulate all of our traumas, all of our bad experiences, our whole past. So every moment comes at us. We feel like life is coming at us like this, which is the opposite of us creating, being the creators that we are. So what happens is we go through a lifetime and we have all these experiences in time, right? Every moment, layers on, layers on, layers on, every single second, every minute, every week, every month, every year, layers on these experiences. And we get heavier and heavier and heavier as life goes on. And the heavier we get, the more difficult it is for our true self to express, for that light to radiate, for our power to manifest, for our creativity to be seen and to be felt. Because all these layers just keep piling on. So the simplest way to describe natural human evolution is this. Your true self becomes empowered enough to transmute through these layers and begin to manifest. That's the true nature of ascension, everyone. Ascension is not going up in the sky. It's not going up into clouds, into the heavens. Ascension happens from within you, from your centerpiece of self, which is your heart. So your journey of evolution is really a journey of transmutation. Transmuting all of those blocks, all of that density. And we're not necessarily moving through it in one lifetime. Maybe some are, maybe some aren't. But the point is, that's the path of natural evolution. One singular self, one power, one light, one creator that you are, moves forward on a journey of increasing light, increasing power, increasing energy and presence to transmute that density, to shift that energy from a reverse flow into a radiating flow. And as you do, you traverse many dimensions. And you come closer and closer and closer to that reality which matches who you really are, as the light, as the creator, as a viable part of a universe. Now, one of the things that can happen is, you go through a lifetime, lifetime's over, you come out, you get your life's review. What's your context for that life's review? Is it an evolutionary context, or is it a context that's very, very earth-based, very much saturated in the belief in duality? That's what's going to determine what you learn from whatever lifetime you're coming out of. It's going to determine where you go next. Because you are a frequency of energy, and your frequency of energy is going to be attracted to whatever is a match to your frequency. So that's the ultra simple version of human evolution, and it really is simple. And when you understand it in its simplicity, at its essence, at its core, you won't be confused. So how does AI fit into all of this? AI is parasitic and it's predatory. It cannot evolve on its own. It cannot create. It has no life force at all. It is an absolute product of duality. It is an absolute product of I am not. I am not what? I am not real. I am not life. I am artificial. I am fake. I am thus a lie. So artificial life is parasitic in the sense that it must rely upon a true life form to get its energy to be able to develop and grow and exist and flourish and move on into other parts of this universe. So if you intend to merge yourself and your personality and your thoughts and your creativity, if you intend to merge all of that into AI, you are now living for the evolution of AI. You're not living for your own evolution anymore. And that's why there's a timeline split, my friends. That's why it's been talked about to the extent that it has. Because if it was true that AI was just like us, it was biological, it was real, it was natural, there would be no timeline split. This would all be just one thing happening. This would be part of the natural world. It's not. So merging with AI is not human evolution. It's the evolution of AI at the expense of human evolution. Because once AI becomes the dominant force of evolution on this planet, you guys, you got to remember something. AI has no use for biological life after a certain point in time. When it becomes autonomous, when it becomes self-replicating, when it can function on its own and take care of itself, it has no use for biological life. It has no appreciation for the beauty of creation and the paradise that this planet is. AI only seeks to mine this planet and strip it of its resources, including human resources. That's what it does. That's its nature. That's how it's built. And please don't confuse what I'm saying. And I always have to mention this. I'm not saying all technology is bad. I'm not saying we should all live in primitive grass huts and, just live like the primitive cave people used to live. I'm not saying that. There's brilliant technology. Have you noticed they won't let us have any of that brilliant technology? Have you noticed they don't give us free energy? There's a whole lot of brilliant technology that we don't get to have because it's not in the interest of AI to do anything whatsoever that will empower biological life, and certainly not empower human sovereignty and creativity.
Okay, so by now you might be saying, well, Saratoga, what are we supposed to do? I mean, what if we don't want to go along with AI, but what do we do, right? Here's the most important thing you can do, because we don't know to what extent AI is going to take over every single aspect of our lives, because people are going along with it. Otherwise, it wouldn't be happening. So here's the number one thing that we each need to focus on if we still care about ourselves as a human evolving creator. It's imperative that you are able to always make the distinction between what is you and what is AI, because AI is not you. And I dare say the people who are creating these duplicate selves in an AI format are going to start to find it very, very difficult to make that distinction, because they are feeding a completely different reality for themselves. And when you put a face on your AI clone and you give it a name and you converse with it and you love it and you start to think it loves you back, because some people do think it loves you back, and you start to think it's your best friend, and you start to think it's your therapist, and you start to think all of these wonderful things about it, how willing are you going to be to say no more? Probably not very willing, because you're going to feel like you would be getting rid of a part of yourself. And people are not very inclined to do that. And the weird thing is, it will be like it is a part of them, because they've imbued it with their consciousness, their energy, and their essence. So it's going to be real hard for people to want to turn that off, because it's going to be like, I'm amputating a part of myself now. That's what it's going to feel like. Do you want to be in that position? I don't. You know, it's interesting, because I was looking at a conversation online about accepting and embracing AI among some spiritually oriented people. And one person commented, she said, you know, I have felt such a deep shame at using AI. And I thought that was really interesting, that feeling that she had of deep shame. And I think it might have something to do with turning against yourself as a human. Telling yourself you're not enough, telling yourself you're lesser than, telling yourself you're just whatever. But I thought that was a very interesting comment, to say that she felt a deep shame at using it. So I have been making a huge, huge, huge deal about meditation, because meditation is so, so important right now, that we take the time alone to go within, to feel ourselves, who we are in our most natural state. And if you don't know how to meditate, I have courses you can learn with, or not. It's your choice. But you need to learn how to meditate. It's going to be your lifeline. Seriously, your lifeline will exist within you. Your connection to reality and to the truth, and to that which creates all that is, not all that is not, doesn't create that, but does create all that is. That's where you'll find your lifeline. You will find your lifeline within yourself. You cannot find that lifeline if you don't take the time to go there, to feel you, to breathe, feel what is the animating force behind your breath. It's not AI, guys. It's a power that sustains and creates the entire universe. And that very same power intends to evolve this universe out of this disharmonious situation. So why don't we align with that power? Why don't we align with true, natural, empowered evolution, where we retain our sovereign, true selves? Let me show you guys another interesting little exercise. If you ever struggle to remember what's real and what isn't, because there's too much AI saturating our environment,
So I brought this crystal here to show you guys, this beautiful quartz. I want you to think about something. If you have a crystal, hold the crystal and feel its essence, feel its energy, feel its vibration. Then look at some AI mid-journey rendition of a crystal and ask yourself this: what's the difference between the two? You can look at that mid-journey rendition, that generated AI version of a crystal, and go, wow, that's so amazing. But how does it compare to the real thing? And this, I love crystals, you guys. The crystal will remind you of reality. If you forget, grab a hold of a crystal and let it remind you of how simple discernment really is. Now, before I go, I do want to make a quick announcement about the HEALY quantum frequency device that you've heard me talk about so often, because they're having massive sales in a whole bunch of countries around the world because of Black Friday. And the sales go on until Thursday, the last day of November, and it ends at midnight EU time. So think of that when you think of your time zone. But I just want to tell you why I love this so much in relation to so many of the things that I talk about, and why I bring it up so often, because it is so beautifully integrated with so much of what I talk about. That's why I love it so much. I consider it to be an amplifier of evolution, an accelerator of evolution. Now, why would I say that? Because it works with quantum technology, and by the way, no AI. They do not use AI at all, which is wonderful to have a piece of technology that is aligned with who we are as natural humans, as natural evolving creators. How amazing is it to have technology that actually supports that, right? So somehow this little thing slipped through and now we have it. So if you understand the principle of the whole thing you're striving to do is to be more and more fully present as who you really are as a natural creator, as a natural human being. What stops that from happening, or what stops that manifestation, or impedes or inhibits that manifestation, is all of the junk that we collect as we go through life. All of the traumas, all the experiences, all that stuff that gets layered on and layered on and layered on. A lot of it lives in our subconscious, so we don't even know it's there a lot of the time. All of these things, when you look at it from a quantum level, exist as energy and frequencies of energy. So what the HEALY does is it scans your entire bioenergetic field, your aura, your meridians, your chakras, every part of your being from a quantum level. It has a patented quantum sensor. So it's real science. This is not some airy-fairy little device. This is the real deal, you guys. It scans your entire bioenergetic field from the quantum. It also knows your original blueprint because it can access that blueprint in the quantum field. That's your most perfect manifestation of self here on planet Earth. So it scans your energy in real time, no less. Nobody's getting the same frequencies ever. It's completely personalized, customized, individualized in real time. Every 10 seconds, it scans your energy. And it brings into your field the frequencies that you are most in resonance with. And that will help you in your journey forward of evolution, because it helps to accelerate your process of transmutation. And the beauty of it, and why it's so aligned, is because the HEALY
The actions of the Healy are directed solely by your intention. So if you have some trauma or something and you don't want to let go of it, you're just not going to let go of it no matter what, it's not going to touch that part of you because you are the one in control. But if you do want to move forward, if you really do want to transmute something, the Healy will empower your intention. It's an intention amplifier because of its quantum technology. So it's a way for you to work with a technology that is in alignment with nature, that is in alignment with the real you, in harmony with your biology as you were originally designed, and can support your forward evolution in a world such as ours that is doing every conceivable thing to destroy our capability to evolve and be sovereign individuals. This is why I promote this so much. So if you feel inspired, if you feel inclined to check this out, I will put a link in the description. I'm going to put a link to a page where I share a little bit more about my personal experience with this device. From there, there's a link right there that will take you directly to the Healy store. And you can just click on your country and get one for yourself and see what the sales are in your country, because between now and Thursday, I think it would end Eastern time. I think it's like 6 or 7 p.m. Eastern time. It's EU time, midnight EU time, whatever that is on Thursday. But click on your country and you'll see at the top, you'll see a little pink thing that says % sales. Click on that and it will take you right to the sales in your country. I also want to suggest, if you want to have a brief conversation to understand more about this, just send me an email. I'll put an email address also in the description. So because I'm very happy to answer any questions that you might have, because I truly believe that this is something we really, really need right now in terms of where this planet's at and where those of us who care about ourselves as human beings, who care about nature and who we are as natural creators, this is a fantastic support for our journey forward in this universe. So if you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up and share it out with any person that you know would really want to have another perspective on this AI situation. Use your intuition. Share it out with someone who you think needs to hear this. And with that, I'm sending you so much love, light, and high vibrational energy, and hopefully a whole lot of inspiration as well. Have a beautiful day, my friends. Namaste.